Sometimes, the hardest decisions involve the people closest to us. Whether it's family or friends, not all relationships are meant to last. In this video, we'll uncover 9 signs that it might be time to let go. Even when it feels uncomfortable or painful. These aren't easy choices, but recognizing when a relationship becomes toxic or unbalanced is essential for your growth and happiness. Let's explore the red flags you need to watch for and how to prioritize your well-being. 1. Consistent one-sidedness. A healthy relationship, whether with family or friends, should involve mutual effort, care, and support. When you notice that a relationship is consistently one-sided, it can become emotionally draining and unsustainable. This happens when you're always the one reaching out, checking in, or making sacrifices, while the other person shows little to no interest in reciprocating. For example, you may find yourself always initiating conversations or planning meetups, but the other person barely responds or shows up only when it's convenient for them. Worse, they may even take advantage of your kindness and efforts, treating your care as something they're entitled to rather than appreciating it. One-sided relationships often lead to feelings of neglect, frustration, and resentment. Over time, the imbalance can take a toll on your mental health and self-worth. It's important to evaluate whether the relationship is worth your continued energy or if you're holding onto it out of obligation or habit. Letting go of a one-sided relationship doesn't mean you're being selfish or cruel. Instead, it's a way of honoring yourself and creating space for connections where mutual respect and effort exist. By doing so, you make room for relationships that uplift and nourish you rather than deplete you. 2. Emotional drain. Relationships should ideally offer support, joy, and a sense of belonging. But when a connection leaves you emotionally exhausted, it's a red flag worth addressing. Emotional drain occurs when a relationship consistently requires you to give more energy than you receive, leaving you feeling depleted rather than uplifted. This often happens in relationships where the other person relies heavily on you for emotional support but fails to provide the same in return. Perhaps they constantly unload their problems onto you, expect you to listen without offering the same care when you're in need, or frequently bring negativity into your life. While supporting loved ones during tough times is natural, a relationship that is persistently draining can harm your mental and emotional well-being. You might notice symptoms of emotional drain through increased anxiety, frustration, or even dread when interacting with the person. Over time, this dynamic can lead to burnout, lower self-esteem, and difficulty focusing on your own needs and goals. It's important to recognize that addressing emotional drain isn't about blaming the other person but about setting boundaries to protect your energy. This might mean having an honest conversation, limiting the time spent together, or, in some cases, distancing yourself entirely. By doing so, you prioritize your own well-being and create room for healthier, more balanced connections in your life. 3. Lack of support. Support is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Whether it's with family, friends, or a partner, when someone consistently fails to support you, especially during times when you need it most, it can be deeply disheartening and damaging. Lack of support can manifest in many ways: disinterest in your achievements, dismissiveness of your struggles, or even outright criticism instead of encouragement. Imagine working hard to achieve a goal, and instead of celebrating with you, they downplay your success or make it about themselves. Or when you're going through a tough time, they offer no comfort or help, leaving you to navigate the challenges alone. Over time, this pattern can make you feel isolated and undervalued, questioning the strength and sincerity of the relationship. True relationships thrive on mutual encouragement and understanding. When support is missing, it's a sign the relationship might not be rooted in genuine care. This lack of support can also stifle your personal growth, as you may feel hesitant to pursue goals or share your dreams out of fear of indifference or judgment. Addressing a lack of support starts with honest communication. Express how their behavior makes you feel and what you need from the relationship. However, if they are unwilling or unable to change, it might be time to reevaluate their role in your life. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and encourage you is crucial for your mental health and personal growth. 4. Boundary violations. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define our values, comfort levels, and emotional safety in relationships. When someone consistently violates your boundaries, it's more than just disrespectful, it's a direct challenge to your sense of self. Boundary violations can come in many forms, intrusive questions, disregarding your need for privacy, pushing you into uncomfortable situations, or dismissing your feelings when you try to establish limits. Imagine repeatedly telling a friend or family member that you need space to recharge. Yet they continue to overwhelm you with calls, drop-ins, or demands for your attention. Or perhaps you've set a clear boundary about how you wish to be treated, and they continually mock or undermine it. These actions don't just strain the relationship, they erode trust and your sense of autonomy. Why do people violate boundaries? Sometimes it's unintentional, stemming from a lack of understanding, but often, it's because they prioritize their needs over yours or assume they know what's best for you. This can create a toxic dynamic where you feel your voice and choices are constantly overridden. To address this, it's essential to be firm and consistent in your boundary setting. Clearly communicate your limits and the consequences of crossing them. For example, you might say, "I value our relationship, but I need you to respect my need for downtime. If this continues, I'll have to step back." If boundary violations persist despite your efforts, it's a clear sign of a deeper issue, whether it's a lack of respect or an unwillingness to change. At that point, you must consider protecting your emotional well-being by limiting or even severing the relationship. Healthy relationships honor and respect boundaries, creating a safe space for both individuals to thrive. 5. Manipulative behavior. Manipulative behavior is a red flag in any relationship, whether it's with a friend, family member, or partner. Manipulation is a calculated effort to control or influence someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions, often at the expense of their autonomy. It's a subtle but powerful way of asserting dominance and can leave you feeling confused, guilty, or powerless. Manipulative individuals often use tactics like guilt tripping, gaslighting, or playing the victim to get what they want. For instance, they may make you feel responsible for their happiness or well-being, subtly implying that you're selfish or uncaring if you don't meet their demands. They might twist the truth, exaggerate situations, or withhold critical information to steer you toward decisions that benefit them. One of the most insidious forms of manipulation is gaslighting, making you question your reality or memory of events. A manipulative person might say, "You're imagining things," or "You're overreacting," to dismiss your concerns and make you doubt your judgment. This creates a dynamic where you're constantly second-guessing yourself, giving them more control over your emotions and actions. Why is manipulation so harmful? It erodes trust, damages your self-esteem, and creates a toxic power imbalance. Over time, you may feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to please them to avoid conflict or criticism. To counteract manipulation, it's crucial to recognize the signs and establish firm boundaries. Learn to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Call out manipulative behavior when you notice it, and don't be afraid to assert your needs. For example, you might say, "I feel like you're trying to guilt me into doing something I'm not comfortable with." Let's discuss this openly. If the person refuses to acknowledge their behavior or continues to manipulate despite your efforts, it's a strong indication that the relationship is unhealthy. At this point, cutting ties might be necessary to protect your mental and emotional well-being. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and trust, not manipulation or control. 6. Persistent negativity. Persistent negativity in a relationship can be emotionally exhausting and deeply harmful. When someone constantly exudes negativity, be it through criticism, pessimism, or a general refusal to see the good in anything, it creates a toxic environment that can drain your energy and hinder your own personal growth. Negativity manifests in several ways. Some people might always criticize your choices, belittling your achievements or downplaying your feelings. Others may perpetually complain about their own lives without showing any effort to improve their circumstances. They may resist solutions or dismiss any attempt you make to bring positivity into the relationship, leaving you feeling frustrated and powerless. For example, imagine sharing exciting news about a new job or opportunity, only to have it met with comments like, "It won't last," or "That sounds like too much work." Over time, these responses can dull your enthusiasm and make you hesitant to share your happiness with them. This constant dampening of your joy can make you feel unsupported and undervalued. Negativity can also create a self-fulfilling cycle. The person's pessimistic outlook may affect your own mindset, leading to feelings of doubt, anxiety, or even hopelessness. This is especially true if their negativity seeps into every interaction, overshadowing any positive aspects of the relationship. It's important to differentiate between occasional bad moods and persistent negativity. Everyone has tough days, but when someone's negativity becomes a defining trait of your relationship, it's a sign of deeper issues. Chronic negativity can stem from unresolved personal struggles, but it's not your responsibility to fix someone who refuses to help themselves. Dealing with persistent negativity starts with open communication. Express how their behavior affects you, framing it in a way that focuses on your feelings rather than accusations. For example, you might say, "I feel drained when our conversations focus only on what's wrong. Can we try to look at things more positively together?" However, if the person is unwilling to acknowledge their negativity or refuses to make changes, you need to prioritize your well-being. Staying in a relationship with someone who consistently brings you down can stifle your growth and happiness. Cutting ties might be the healthiest option, allowing you to cultivate an environment of positivity and support with others who value and uplift you. Remember, relationships should be a source of encouragement and mutual respect, not a constant struggle against a tide of negativity. Recognizing and addressing this issue is a step toward building a healthier, more fulfilling life. 7. Unresolved conflicts. Unresolved conflicts in any relationship are like hidden cracks in a foundation. Over time, they grow and threaten the entire structure. When issues are continually swept under the rug, ignored, or left without resolution, they foster resentment, miscommunication, and emotional distance. If these conflicts remain unaddressed for too long, they can severely damage the trust and harmony within the relationship. Unresolved conflicts often stem from a fear of confrontation, differing values, or an inability to communicate effectively. For example, one person may avoid discussing their feelings to keep the peace, while the other might insist that it's not a big deal and dismiss the concerns entirely. This creates a one-sided dynamic where real issues are never dealt with, leaving both parties feeling misunderstood or invalidated. Consider a recurring disagreement, like differing financial priorities or unmet emotional needs. Each time the topic comes up, the discussion turns into a heated argument or is avoided altogether. The lack of resolution forces the problem to linger, creating tension and frustration. Over time, this dynamic erodes trust and mutual respect, making it harder to address even minor disagreements. Unresolved conflicts don't just stay confined to the issues at hand. They often spill over into other aspects of the relationship. This can result in passive-aggressive behavior, emotional withdrawal, or even full-blown arguments over seemingly unrelated matters. These reactions are often fueled by the lingering frustration and hurt from unresolved disputes. Addressing unresolved conflicts requires courage and a willingness to communicate openly. Both parties must be ready to listen actively, acknowledge their role in the conflict, and work toward a solution. This doesn't mean agreeing on everything, but rather finding a middle ground where both feel heard and respected. For instance, instead of accusing someone with statements like, "You never listen to me," you might express your feelings in a constructive way, such as, "I feel unheard when this issue comes up. Can we find a way to discuss it together?" This approach reduces defensiveness and fosters a more productive conversation. However, if one party consistently refuses to address conflicts or dismisses their importance, it's a red flag. A relationship where only one person is willing to put in the effort to resolve issues becomes unbalanced, with the burden falling entirely on one side. It's important to understand that unresolved conflicts aren't just harmful, they're unsustainable. If these issues persist despite your best efforts, it may be a sign that the relationship is no longer serving either party in a healthy way. Choosing to walk away can be a difficult but necessary step toward creating space for growth, peace, and relationships where mutual respect and understanding are prioritized. Healthy relationships thrive on open dialogue and the ability to work through challenges together. By confronting unresolved conflicts, you can build a stronger connection, or recognize when it's time to let go for your own well-being. 8. Jealousy and sabotage. Jealousy and sabotage are toxic behaviors that can deeply damage relationships. When one person in a relationship becomes envious, insecure, or seeks to undermine the other, it creates a dynamic of mistrust and manipulation. Unlike healthy competition or friendly support, jealousy and sabotage operate from a place of fear, insecurity, and a desire to control or diminish the other person. Jealousy often stems from a lack of self-esteem, fear of losing attention, or an underlying belief that the other person is more successful, attractive, or capable. When left unchecked, jealousy can escalate into controlling behaviors, passive-aggressive remarks, or deliberate attempts to undermine the other's happiness or achievements. For example, consider a scenario where one partner achieves a career milestone or personal success. Instead of celebrating the victory, the jealous partner may subtly dismiss the achievement or create obstacles, such as criticizing their efforts, belittling their success, or spreading negative rumors about them. These actions aren't rooted in genuine concern or care but in insecurity and fear of being overshadowed or replaced. Sabotage is even more insidious. Unlike jealousy, which may be expressed through negative comments or withdrawal, sabotage involves deliberate actions intended to disrupt or harm another's endeavors. This could manifest as spreading false information, encouraging risky decisions, manipulating situations behind the scenes, or fostering doubt about the person's abilities or intentions. For instance, a friend may quietly undermine someone's career progress by leaking sensitive information or whispering doubts about their capability. In a romantic relationship, sabotage could take the form of instigating arguments to create instability or manipulating social situations to isolate the other person from support systems. This behavior erodes trust and creates a cycle of suspicion and hostility. Over time, those being sabotaged may begin to feel exhausted, emotionally drained, and isolated, unable to share personal successes or feel secure in the relationship. Jealousy and sabotage often originate from unmet emotional needs, unresolved insecurities, or unhealthy attachment styles. Insecurity can turn a once loving relationship into a toxic power struggle, where validation and control become more important than mutual respect and emotional well-being. Healthy relationships don't involve competition or one person seeking to diminish the other's accomplishments. Instead, they are characterized by empathy, encouragement, and a commitment to the growth and happiness of both individuals. Recognizing jealousy and sabotage early is crucial to maintaining a healthy, supportive dynamic. If you experience jealousy or notice someone sabotaging your efforts, it's important to confront these behaviors head-on. Setting clear boundaries and seeking open, honest communication are essential steps toward breaking free from this toxic cycle. In some cases, it may be necessary to distance yourself from relationships where sabotage prevails, as continuing to engage in such environments can hinder personal growth and peace of mind. 9. Physical or emotional abuse. Physical or emotional abuse is one of the most harmful and damaging experiences someone can face in any relationship, whether romantic, familial, or friendship-based. It involves the intentional use of power, control, and manipulation to exert influence over another person, causing emotional, psychological, or physical harm. Recognizing these behaviors is crucial for understanding when to draw boundaries and seek support. Physical abuse includes actions that cause physical harm or injury, such as hitting, pushing, slapping, or any form of physical violence. This can range from mild to severe, and regardless of the intensity, any form of physical abuse is unacceptable. Physical abuse often escalates over time, starting with seemingly minor incidents that may be dismissed or minimized. However, once patterns of physical violence begin, they tend to grow more frequent and severe. For example, if a partner starts by raising their voice or pushing another during heated arguments, it can escalate to more serious physical violence over time. This creates a cycle of fear and intimidation where the victim feels trapped and powerless. Emotional abuse, while not always as immediately visible, is equally destructive. It involves behaviors aimed at undermining the victim's self-esteem, autonomy, and emotional well-being. Common forms of emotional abuse include constant criticism, belittling, manipulation, gaslighting, and isolating the victim from social support networks. Unlike physical abuse, emotional abuse targets the mind and spirit, leaving deep psychological scars that are harder to recognize and heal from. For instance, an emotionally abusive person may use passive-aggressive comments, control financial resources, or play mind games to make the other person question their reality, decisions, and self-worth. Over time, the victim may feel isolated, unable to trust their own thoughts and emotions, and deeply disoriented. Physical and emotional abuse often go hand in hand, with emotional abuse serving as a precursor or complement to physical harm. In situations where emotional manipulation is rampant, physical abuse can become a way to further assert control and dominance. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward healing and recovery. Victims of abuse often feel trapped by fear, shame, and guilt, believing they are to blame for the abusive behavior. However, it's essential to understand that abuse is never the victim's fault. Seeking support from trusted friends, family, or professional help is crucial for breaking free from these harmful dynamics. In severe cases, involving law enforcement or protective services may be necessary to ensure physical safety. Creating a support system, setting firm boundaries, and prioritizing self-care are also critical steps toward recovery and rebuilding a healthy, safe life. Ultimately, the goal is to create environments where respect, kindness, and mutual support flourish, free from the toxic cycles of abuse.